This is the map Anarchy Arches, a novice track with long turns and a fairly boring route. And being such a simple track, it didn't take long to optimize, with the top 5 all completing the track in well under 3 minutes, including Silky Extreme's 2:43.75, posted to the leaderboards on the 1st of January. But just 3 weeks later, the top 5 looked completely different. All players on the leaderboards had posted unbelievable records, with the world record being a 1:59.90 by Noel. For the first time in the game's history, a map had been shortcut by using a completely undiscovered bug, and in the months following its discovery, players had continued to take even further strides in the game. This is the story of how Rocket Racers transformed speedrunning. The Anarchy Arches shortcut is truly revolutionary. In a game labeled as clunky and poorly made by many, the rocket racing community had proven there were plenty of discoveries to be made in the game. By driving into the barrier at a block seam, Noel had squeezed his car through the barriers to the other side. But it didn't start there. For the full history of the game's bugs, we have to go back, all the way back, to the 15th of December, 2023. This clip has a special place in Rocket Racing's history of speedrunning. While seeming like a harmless glitch that resulted in a sudden turn, it was the discovery that propelled the community forwards. By drifting within 3 frames after landing, the car jerked suddenly towards that direction, with no loss in speed. And although the bug slide has never been cited in any world record attempts, without it, we may never have seen the game progress into what it is today. And it was what inspired us to look further into bugs, and that was when we discovered this. These clips are the earliest recorded footage of the barrier break, well before Zemstin discovered the simpler, more consistent method of doing so purely by accident. But if you're interested in the exact path to the discovery of the barrier break, we've already covered it in the past. It'll be linked on the screen now. And that takes us back to Noel. Out of nowhere, the Anarchy Arches world record had plummeted 45 seconds, rising to such a high level of fame amongst the community that the developers themselves had to get involved. Although the barrier break is still possible to this day, Epic unexpectedly added 2 new checkpoints to the track, forcing players to follow the tunnel through the midpoint and the final stretch. After the track's modification, we took a look at some of the other maps, such as Pleasant Pit Stop and Curvy Canyon, slightly disappointed that the records were set in stone forever. But the feeling was short-lived, because a gold rush was happening on Anaconda. Havok had led a charge on arguably the best map in the game, uncovering something entirely new: the ping cut. And yes, it's as simple as it sounds. By raising his ping to around 200, Havok had completely revolutionized the way Anaconda was played, reducing the world record all the way to 122.49 by EWARS. But that was when the game took a rather dark turn, because it was then that we as a community had our first big scare: the speed glitch. Believe it or not, yes, the speed glitch was a very real and very dangerous bug within the game. Although the speedometer would display speeds as normal, something was quite clearly off. Speed did not equal to the car's velocity. As a result, for the first days of the update, track leaderboards fell into disarray. All of a sudden, certain players were beating personal bests and world records by unbelievable margins. Overall though, it seemed to have minimal impact due to one perceived trend. It was believed that the glitch would only occur on old-gen consoles. But that was when the community got it wrong, because we did some testing, and the results were horrifying to say the least. By rapidly shifting the FOV slider before each race on the PC, it was discovered possible to obtain the speed glitch. And when Zamison discovered this, we were all shocked. You see, if it were any other racing game, the glitch's existence was no issue. A method to have faster runs for speedrunning didn't seem like a bad proposition at all. But then there's rocket racing, a mode with two formats just as fierce as each other. And for the safety of Ranked, we decided to not share it further. But we weren't the only people to do research on our own. Two community members, whom we will keep anonymous, discovered completely separate methods to perform the glitch, with wildly varying steps. The first player discovered by rapidly changing voice channel modes before the race, it was possible to activate the glitch. As for the second player, well, they went a little overboard. By using a virtual machine, which in simple terms is a computer inside of a computer, they were able to activate the glitch, albeit on 30 FPS. But believe it or not, it still wasn't done. Because at some point in March, another method was uncovered by us. By rapidly changing FPS limits before each race, the glitch would once again activate, leading to disproportional speeds and stupid times. Luckily though, the mayhem was short-lived. The glitch was finally fixed by the developers recently, after the methods were brought to their attention privately, now remembered as no more than a close call for the Ranked community. But the close calls wouldn't stop there, because seemingly out of nowhere, Rogue simply posted this screenshot. Needless to say, when this screenshot was posted on our Discord, the community went apeshit. Out of nowhere, someone was claiming to have a sub 1 minute run on Anaconda, and had both photo and video proof to back it up. But to the community's confusion, shortly after uploading the run, Rogue deleted the video entirely. And the reason? Rogue knew the power the barrier delete had, and its impact on Ranked. It was simply too dangerous to leave it as public knowledge. However, that wasn't the death of the run. Rogue re-uploaded the video, this time unlisted. He wanted to join SRO with his new discovery, and video evidence was necessary to do so. And so, that was when we saw this. To our absolute surprise, the run started with 2 players at the barriers present, but then, for no apparent reason, Rogue changed to spectate the other racer at the end of the pre-game countdown, and poof, the barriers were gone. And it was for that exact reason the bug wasn't shared publicly. Picture this: you're in Champion in your final race to Unreal, and you roll Anaconda, one of your favorite maps. But then, at the start of the race, every single player in the lobby jump to the barrier and don't die. You persevere, continuing regardless, starting your 3rd lap, but everyone else is already finished. That would likely have been a reality if this glitch was made public, and although it would have been patched much earlier, it would have led to widespread outrage and annoyance from the community in the elapsing time. But that didn't stop Rogue from hunting maps himself. And so, just before reporting it to the developers, he got this run. (46.964 seconds, beating the normal route by 55 seconds, and the Ultra World record by 35 seconds. The secret? Rogue combined the speed glitch with the barrier delete to produce a truly stupid run, and it's incredibly likely that times like these would have dominated ranked for weeks had both methods had gone public. But fortunately, in the same update, barrier deletes were also removed for good. Even though speedrunning became much more thrilling with its addition, it came at the cost of the condition of ranked. And with their removal, the dark age of rocket racing glitches was finally put to an end, replaced by many more community-loved bugs, the first of which was the mag flip. K2 Raceway Do had just been added to the game, bringing with it a wave of excitement. But it didn't take long for something brand new to be discovered. By accident, community members were posting clips like these. For whatever reason, the developers had changed the way the car interacted with surfaces when dodging. But it wasn't met with outrage like they might have expected. In fact, it was the opposite. Whilst they were inconsistent without practice, they made racing much more enjoyable. The way the car would perfectly fly off after being pulled in gave a satisfying and smooth feeling in gameplay. But the question is, how were they done? Well, it wasn't as hard as it looks. By simply dodging on the edges of surfaces, the car would pull itself in that direction, generating much more velocity than a normal dodge would. The mag flip truly changed how the game was played, introducing yet another mechanic for the community to obsess over. But the flow of bugs wouldn't stop there, because in the same update, Bros discovered something unbelievable. Up to this point, to do an ultra shortcut, it was only thought possible in one way: getting out the barrier and shortcutting the track with any method possible. But out of nowhere, Bros changed his definition when he did this. Explaining how this happens is a little tricky. On tracks like Bone Cavern, it's simple. By passing through the starting line backwards, the game is tricked into thinking the cars missed a checkpoint, thus respawning the vehicle at checkpoint 2. But with tracks like Puddle Jumper, well, it's a bit more complicated. The first step is to save a location on the track by jumping off of the road and hovering far away from the saved location. An important thing to note when doing this is the way the game processes a vehicle's location. It only processes on-track pieces, not scenery objects or terrain. After going through the checkpoint, respawning will result in the vehicle being taken back to the saved location. From there, the first method can be used to cut out even more of the track. But that's not the only application respawning has. With the introduction of UEFN for rocket racing, many creators have taken to the platform, creating unique levels and beautiful tracks. However, it was through its addition that another bug was found. By respawning immediately after going through a teleporter that acts as a finish line, the game does something interesting. Although it makes no sense whatsoever, by doing so, the game processes it as an entire lap, regardless of the amount of checkpoints on the track. And that should have been everything. But we've been keeping something private for this video. During the Captain's Cove event, many players took to the track, doing whatever they could to gain extra time on their opponents. But one player took that too seriously. Havoc. Because completely unexpectedly, he uploaded this to the SRO group chat. At first, the bug looked simple to reproduce. Just land on the road border, right? Let's take another look, this time in slow motion. Somehow, by a sheer stroke of luck, Havoc discovered what we've called the Unterbug. By clipping one of the rear wheels into the road by landing on a spline point whilst holding an air drift, the car continues drifting on its rear wheel before flinging itself into the air. Although it's impossible to know how much speed this actually generates, based off of other clips, we estimated a speed increase of roughly 700. A bug like this is a big deal for speedrunning. Although incredibly precise, even one of these in a run would result in a much stronger world record. And if it had to be compared to bugs from other games, it's incredibly similar to Trackmania's Uber bug. Although it took a while due to the sheer unpredictability of the launch angle, Trackmania leaderboards completely shifted, most notably on F9, when Oars used it to shortcut across the track. Rocket racing bugs have long been of interest in the speedrunning community, ever since the discovery of the bug slide. And with the Unterbug, there is no doubt that records will continue to plummet just as fast. That's all for this video. Thank you so much for 600 subscribers. It genuinely means a lot. We still got a Patreon for those who are interested, offering a private Discord, coaching, shoutouts on every video, and seeing uploads 1 week early. If you're interested in seeing how drifting morphed rocket racing into what it is today, click on the screen now. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.